Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at energy fuels. It is time for another update, and today we will be focusing only within the smaller time frame. And here we have been tracking this idea of a 5-wave pattern to the upside, where we are focused on an impulse being built within this area. It's not the only possibility, but even within the idea of a diagonal structure, I would actually prefer that we form continuation to higher prices still, as we haven't formed a clear wave 5 in this structure. Yeah, we have barely formed a new high, and the pattern itself seems incomplete. Now, the thing is, we have actually a quite similar structure with what we have on the uranium energy chart, where a more substantial top would be more apparent to be in place. I'm not saying that it couldn't be the case for this chart as well, but I believe it has better probabilities of continuation to higher prices. And where on the uranium energy chart we just did a video where things are not looking so good, but here the structures are holding quite nicely so far, and I am looking still for at least one more high within this area. Now, for context, within this structure we have had our main area of support for accumulation at the levels between the $17.6 all the way down to the $10.7. We have created a beautiful movement in a three-wave pattern to the downside, and we have generated our reaction to the upside. And in the case of this chart, we actually provided a highly valid area of support within the small time frame here in an internal 1-2 setup. Yeah, we provided the area of support that allowed this entire movement to the upside to form. We didn't have an initial target for it to be this high. We were eyeing the $18 level, but we were still looking for continuation to higher prices. We didn't follow up subsequent waves anyway. Now, we built it, we got a lot more than we even required, and that is all good. But unfortunately, within this correction that we have been tracking, and we have been looking at this as a potential wave 4, we have broken the area of support the second time already. So while it wasn't broken in a sustained manner, it is very questionable if we can rely on this structure to still manage to form this movement to the upside, and we have been, since the previous video, much more inclined to believe that this structure would rather be building an ending diagonal in this fifth wave in green, and even in this scenario we still prefer another high. This is really no issue for the idea of the continuation, for the idea of this uptrend to be kept alive, but within the idea of an impulse, yeah, we start to see some less favorable ideas take place here within this structure. Now, within this push to the upside, we have provided this large green area of support. This was highly relevant. This was our accumulation area. We have provided internal levels of support within this structure in this area of a 1-2 setup. And if you want to get access to our monthly top picks, so you know which stocks to pay extra attention to as we post these videos, you can join our newsletter. Yeah, we will identify for you those high quality structures, and all you need to do is sign up. The link is in the description and it is completely free. You can then get the list, you can follow it along with us on YouTube. So yeah, step 1, sign up, step 2, step 3, profit. That's it. And we will be sending out our first email at the end of this week, where we actually have quite a nice list going on. We have plenty of opportunities, many of them upcoming, some of them are already active, that I believe are really worth a look into, even if you don't ultimately end up accumulating such a position. Because to be clear, this is not financial advice. This is my view, my picks based on my interpretation of the market, and I'm not qualified for financial advice, and this is not financial advice. Ultimately, you should do your own research, but if you want to use the data that I consider to be valuable, it is your choice. Now, let's get back to the chart. So within this structure, in this fifth wave, as I was saying, we are still looking for continuation to higher prices, but within this idea of an ending diagonal, where in this case, I would need to consider that all we really need to consider this wave 5 to the upside complete is an ABC structure. that may be closer than we may realize, because given the context that we would be within a fifth wave of a fifth wave, we might not get that much uptrend within this push to the upside as we may typically expect. And it's a fifth wave, it's not always going to provide the most rewarding opportunity, which is why we don't necessarily even consider this to be a high probability trade setup. But what we do know is that below the $17.7 is where the probabilities shift for this chart, where we will need to start looking for more bearish interpretations. But fortunately, this is currently not the case, and within this structure, we are debating whether we have formed a bottom within this wave 4. So in the previous video, I have provided you a couple of relevant areas of resistance. So firstly, we were looking for a potential ABC structure. We were looking at this to potentially be just an overshoot within a wave B or a wave X, doesn't really matter. And yeah, this to possibly extend still to higher prices into our area of resistance, where a break above the $25.8 was our sign that something more bullish would be going on. Not more bullish than the fifth wave, but more bullish than getting another low within this structure. So we didn't get that yet. We only managed to create within this movement the upside another three-wave pattern, not promising necessarily, but we did get into our area of resistance, and we had the internal levels of resistance up to the $21.6, where a break above that level was our strong signal that we would likely push into the larger area, that we wouldn't manage to build here another 5-wave move to the downside, which would have been able to suggest this wave to either be part of the larger wave A or to start a larger downtrend. Now, this internal structure is really not necessary anymore, so we focus on this push to the upside. So we are most likely looking at a WXY structure within this wave B. I could see an Elliott wave triangle to take place as well within this area, although we have broken relevant resistance levels that typically would provide resistance in this case of an extension to higher prices. Now, I'm not ruling out the possibility of a triangle, but in the end, it's not going to be a strong focus for us. And what I'm more interested in tracking anyway is the idea of a potential wave 4 and continuation to higher prices, of course. So for the idea of a wave 4, I need to consider a bottom to be in place here instead. And within this fifth wave, once again, we are looking for an ABC structure. Within the wave A, we could be building a 5-wave pattern, or we could be building a 3-wave pattern. Now, given the current structure within this area, we have a leading diagonal in a wave A, we have a wave B, and then an ending diagonal within a wave C. I would probably prefer to consider this to be just a wave A to the upside. I would have some doubts about really trusting this to build a larger leading diagonal within a wave A. Yeah, could be still part of a larger wave A, but within an ABC structure, I find it to be the more likely interpretation in my opinion. And yeah, we will focus exactly on this idea, but only internally at the moment. If we build here the wave C, I will still be looking for a potential extension in a larger ABC structure, but on this chart, I believe the risk is substantial at this point and we need to be on our toes. We need to be prepared that we might get here the wave C to the upside, and we might only form a marginally higher high. We might even not form a higher high, above this previous wave 3, and start a much larger correction. We are definitely within a high risk area, and I want you to be aware of this, yeah? Now, of course, as always, we need to provide our clear area of support to track this idea of a continuation to higher prices within this ABC structure, part of this larger wave 5. So we are watching here, especially the last level of support at the 78.6% retracement that sits at the $20.1 level. We have so far pushed into the 50% retracement in a 3-wave pattern, and I would consider it able to have even already bottomed. It has certainly fulfilled its expectations, but I cannot rule out an extension to even lower prices. Now, in the case of an extension to lower prices, I'm watching this structural support as well to help us in creating a potential reversal from this area. And if we have already bottomed within this wave B, I could provide you an ideal target for the wave C, and that would be the 100% extension of the wave A that is right around the $26 level. And keep in mind, we don't need to get there and we don't need to stop there, but it is certainly an area the wave C is drawn towards. Now, if we extend into, let's say, the 138.2% extension of the wave A, we could be looking at something potentially more bullish already if we do that within a three-wave pattern, as it might yet be able to build a larger structure. I kind of doubt it, but I cannot rule out the possibility of a larger wave A to form in a leading diagonal. But for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoy our content, don't forget to check out our channel membership, which greatly supports us in providing you all of this information and all of this data, and you even get a couple of cool perks in addition. And other than that, let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.